going to start on the mat. In the cat-cow position, tabletop all fours, untucking the toes. So making sure that your wrists are directly under your shoulders. If you're feeling a bit of a strain there, come a little bit further forward and see if that helps. You can also go on to fists. You can also shake off in between. Come a little bit further forward can help. And your knees should be directly under your hips. Cat-cow, spine to ceiling, rocking forwards and backwards, enjoying a nice stretch through the spine, muscles next to. Exhale, squeezing the abs. Do an inhale in the cow. Moving with the pelvis first and the neck last. Inhale in the cow. Moving the shoulders up and down as you work through each motion. Starting with a small range of movement and mobilise, and you'll feel like you'll be able to go a little bit further with it. Over exaggerate that pelvic tilt forwards and backwards. Move left and right with the hips like we've got a tail, but with control, looking, seeing if you can see your foot on either side. You're opening up that space between the hip and the ribs on that one side. Trying to go a little bit further. You look further around. Notice any stiffness on the sides, around the pelvis on the sides. Try and lean further into it. You can bend more at the elbow to move further in and around, but keeping your knees and hips still, just your upper body's bending and pushing further. Not too much, just increase that stretch a little bit. Nice, safe and easy one, easy-ish. For bird dog, we'll get started. So opposite arm to opposite leg, out and in for reps. As many as you can, or let's go for 10 to 12. You're not going any higher than hip and shoulder height. So it's nice and safe for the back. You feel your upper and lower back working. Notice where you feel this the most as well. It's easy weaknesses. Make sure you're bringing that shoulder right up as well. Exhale as you're coming into the crunch. 2 more. 1 more. Good. Same amount the other side. When you're ready. Really squeeze and pause at the top if you can and feel those muscles that are being worked. Can you engage the core at this point? Rib cage in, belly button to spine. If this is too difficult, reduce the range of movement. Don't come all the way up. Totally your ability. You might be able to go up further on one side than the other. 2 more. 1 more. Good. Knees together. Or if you prefer a little bit wider for child's pose, coming down as close to the mat as you can. So if you go wider with your knees, you're opening up the pelvis nicely. You can sink in to that groin stretch. Try and let go of the tension in your mid to lower back. And just melt into the mat. You can circle your wrists as well. Give them a break. Good. Back into a tabletop position. Limb disassociation next. So on all fours, tucking the toes underneath the heels. As big a circle as you can manage without moving any other part of the body. See if you can connect that lower core below the belly button and above that pubis bone. Going either direction, and your foot's moving slightly as well. we're trying to keep everything stable and not moving. Looking for 12 to 15. Another 4. You might feel it on the sides of your glutes and sides of your legs. 1 more. Then we're going to pulse up, as high up as you can for 10. So your foot's up as well. And engaging that core. This is a tough one, so just do what you can, or 10. 2, 1, good. Back down to child's pose. See how it feels now on that side. Circle off the wrists. Deep breath, sink. Let go of the tension in your back. Another deep breath. Then coming back up into tabletop, tucking the toe under, and circles with the other side. Notice if you feel any twinges or anything in your glutes. Looking for 15, because that's your piriformis. Good. 3, 2, 1, and into that pulse for 10, or as many as you can, as high up as you can. Try not to dump or lean into that leg on the other side. Trying to keep everything centered. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Child's pose. So open up the hips again. Good. Getting a lot of blood flow to the hips, the pelvis area. Deep breath, sink. Can you bring your knees a little bit wider this time maybe? Just relax, sink in. Stay here, or you can go into a bit of a frog stretch. This is an awkward one. Point your toes out and try and sink further in. You feel this really deep in that hip joint. If you can get your chest or your forehead to the floor, excellent. I can't yet. If it's too much for the knees, just stay in a comfortable position. Deep breaths. Notice where you feel that, right in the joint. That's where we're aiming for. Just try and sit with it, try and let go of the tension. Good. Coming back into cat-cow for 5. Exhaling the cat. Just checking with your body and how it feels. Hopefully a little bit less stiffer if you were stiff at the start. And shrug, bringing your shoulders forwards and backwards. See if we can move big circles with the pelvis as we work through cat-cow but into a circular motion. Take your time and work through any tightness in the hip, around the hip area. Change direction, see how that feels. If you're finding that difficult one way or to tune into, can be my muscle connection. Just take your time. It's a skill. From here, I'm going to go into thread the needle. So bending at the elbow, pushing through. So don't go too far too soon. Mobilise first and getting used to the movement, then you can push a little bit further around. Nice one for the posture, opens up the chest, good for any rounded shoulders. And we don't do much of this in everyday life, so it reduces the risk of injury. Stay mobile in this plane of movement. And then following your hand with your gaze. Try and enjoy that stretch that you get. Exhale as you thread the needle. Looking for 10 to 12. And if you're feeling it on your knees, make sure that your feet are down as well to add to that support. One more, and then we're just going to hold as we thread that needle. Hold that position, extend the arm above. Make sure you're not sinking your chest into the floor. It still stays upright, so you've got that twist. Deep breaths. Stay here, or you can tuck that top arm around the back. Again, making sure you're not falling into the floor with your shoulder, you're keeping it up. Deep breaths. Notice where you feel this stretch and try and enjoy it and let go the tension. One more deep breath using the belly as you breathe and letting it come out as you inhale. Slowly exhale. Good. Let's do the same on the other side. 10 to 12. It's usually it can be quite stiff when you swap over, so small range of movement until you mobilise. Another 2. One more. Okay, let's hold that position. See how it feels on this side. And if that feels okay, go ahead and tuck that arm around the back. Deep breaths and allow yourself to enjoy and to sink into that twist in position. Good. Coming out of it into cat-cow. Let's check in again. For 5. I'm using them shoulders. There's a bit of a shrug. Good. Next, I'm going to lift up the knees, rib cage in, belly button to spine, tucking the pelvis under to engage them lower abs. Hold, hold, hold. Deep breaths. Staying as long as you want. Come in and out of it as much as you need to, or hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Same again, but this time you can go into the downward dog or stay the same. Let's lift them knees up, hips come back to the room, and the head should be between the biceps. You can paddle your feet so your heels are on the floor. It's a bit of a stretch for the calves. So upper strength needed here, so if it's burning the shoulders, it's good. Deep breaths. Relax your neck. Just looking at your feet in the downward dog. Releasing them knees back down. Knees together if you like, or apart, child's pose. And just circle off them wrists as we're building the strength in them as well. Let's do that once more. Cow position, tabletop. Tucking the toes underneath the heels, lifting the knees off, tucking the tailbone, that pelvis in, rib cage in, belly button to spine, hold, hold, hold. stay here or go into the downward dog, hips back. Let's paddle them feet. Good. The straighter your leg is, the more flexibility you're working on. If you want it a little bit easier, good bend in the knee. Another 5 paddles. 4, 3, 2. So this is an upper body exercise as well. Bring them knees down, child's pose. Shake off those wrists. Good. I'm going to give the wrists a break now. So feel free to grab a drink as we move over to the sides of our stomachs. I'm going to work on the QL, quadratus lumborum, which is a muscle deep in the back, really deep, and it's all works in stabilising the pelvis. So I'm keeping that nice and strong. So also going to work the sides of the stomach as well. Gives you a nice strong core. So let's start with knees bent. I'm going to go as many as you can, or 15. So make sure your elbows directly under your shoulder. You are working on shoulder strength here. So if it's burning, it's working. Just come in and out of it as much as you need to. Shake off. 15 all the way up. Feel that crunch, that squeeze before releasing and letting go. Making sure you're all in one line as well. You push them hips out, opens up the hip flexors nicely. Good. And the bum cheek on the side here can overtake this movement, so just be aware, and you want to feel it right in the sides of the stomach. Look for that curve, feel that curve. Exhale, coming down. Let's go another 5, 4, 3, 2 more. Then you've got an option to release it or hold it. 1 more and hold for 10 or release. 9, 8, 7. Feel it here. 5, 4, 3. Let it burn. 2, 1 and release. Well done. Bottom knee comes forward, top knee back for that stretch in the sides of the stomach. So we've got a lot of blood flow. Now it's safe to stretch. Inhale and exhale as we move over. Deep breaths. Just putting our body weight over into that stretch. Increasing that flexibility on that side. Good. Same side, I'm going to up things, make sure it's progressive, so you're building muscle and strength, if you get your protein, of course. So same again, knees bent, looking for another 15 or as many as you can. I'm already starting to feel it in this shoulder, so it's going to burn, that's what we want. Squeeze at the top. Full range of movement, make sure you're coming all the way down, your hips touching the floor, and then back up. Let it burn that shoulder forward. The shoulders are used for everything, and they're such usually a weak joint because it's not very, it's quite shallow of a joint, even though it's a ball and socket. So it just relies on the tissues around it to keep it in place. A lot of people have dislocated shoulders quite regularly. Exhale. Another 2. So we're just preventing that. And hold or release. 10, 9. Deep breaths. Think about something else. Mind over matter exercise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I really felt that in my shoulder more than anything. Bring your knee forward. Let's stretch it out. Exhale. Can we go a little bit further over this time? Lean into that stretch. Shouldn't be painful, just mild discomfort. Excellent. Again, it's not something we do every day. Let's see how we get on the other side. Everyone's got a weaker side. So if this is your weaker side, it's my weaker side. Just be patient with it. Elbow directly under your shoulder. So if it's too far forward or back, it's out of alignment, it's just going to hurt more. When you're ready, I'm looking for 15. Pushing them hips forward so you're in alignment. 3, Another 5. Stop and start as much as you need to. You're the boss. 1 more, and then you've got the option to hold for 10. 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, and release. Knee comes forward, stretch it out. Another deep breath. Just relaxing the neck. Excellent, let's finish it on that side now. Same again, match what you did on the opposite side for the round 2. Elbow directly under shoulder. Let's go for 15, we're aiming for. All the way up, all the way down to hit that deep muscle in the back. 7, 5, 1 more, and hold. 10 or release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bottom knee comes forward. Exhale. Let's see if we can go a little bit further over this time. You're stretching a big muscle in the back as well called the latissimus dorsi. Good. Feel free to grab a drink as we move over to our backs. Susie, do you want that pillow? Or do you want it just next to you, just in case? So I'm going to work on the core next, but we'll do some bridge work for the pelvis. So next to you, there's the options there. See how you feel. Okay. So bone hip width apart stance with your feet. The weight goes into your heel as you lift up the pelvis, the hips. Switch them glutes on. So bum cheeks, you've got tension. Have a port, make sure there's tension. It's common to cramp in this position as well. Maybe in the hamstrings. Points to a weakness or a deficiency. And from here, we're going to extend our arms. I'm going to walk them forwards, all the way up and all the way down. Rib cage tucked in, belly button into spine. So you've got connection in the core. Squeezing the hips up as high as you can. And you'll engage that lower back as well if you're squeezing them glutes and bum cheeks. Another 10. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. Bring it back down. And bring it in for a hug and roll side to side. Nice back stretch. We'll do that again. Hips come up, weight in the heels, extending the arms into a walk. Trying to make sure that the hips stay level. There's not one side that's dropping and the other one's upright. If it is, fix that yourself. Next, we're going to play around with it a little bit. Deep breaths, get that oxygen into those working muscles. Another 10. 6. We're all like dancing to the music. 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. This time we're going to go into the up and down bridges. So we'll start up in the full-on bridge position. But this time I'm going to drop a hip. So let's drop your right hip, and just your right hip's coming up and down, and the left hip stays high. Notice how that feels. You get a bit of a stretch in that lower back. You use different parts of the glute muscle to stabilize. So yeah, there's more pressure on the dropped hip glute. So really squeeze and try and stay as center as you can. So just the right side of the back is coming down as well. So notice which parts of your back and your glutes are touching the floor. It should just be the right side as that hip's dropped. Another 2. That right glute should be on fire, that bum cheek. 1 more, and then back into the bridge position, even it out. This time I'm going to drop the left hip, and now the same again for 12, or as many as you can. And just the left side, the back, and the left hip and left bum cheek touching. You really get deep in the pelvis here. Really feel the burning. Another 6 if you can. Keep checking down, making sure that hip stays dropped. Pilates is about getting your body to do exactly what you want it to do. Trying to keep your knees as still as you can, which is quite tricky. 1 more. Even it out. Pause for 3, 2, 1, and release. Well done. Hug and roll. Deep breaths. Over to the core work now with relaxation component. I'm going to start with my favorite, legs up into tabletop position. Rib cage tucked in, belly button into spine, and hold. I want you to think about lifting your pelvis off the floor if you wanted to engage that lower core. You're just going to hug rib cage in, belly button into spine, pushing those abs into the mat. It's like a hug for your internal organs. Just like a plank, the legs are adding load to that lower core. Hold, hold, hold. Push the abs right into the mat so your back's completely flat. There's no curve in your back at all. Stay here or for 10 reps, leading with the hips. Let's bring them off the floor. Again, we'll load in that lower core, but I want you to curve up and down in the lower core if you can. So one vertebrae goes all the way up and one vertebrae down at a time. Leading with the hips, not the feet, if that makes sense. So you're not kicking. 3, 2, 1. Good. Semi-supine. Inhale, arms rise. And slowly exhale through the mouth for relaxation. Inhale. Another 2. Pause at the top. Full lungs for exhaling. Breathwork is so powerful. Brings you back to the present. So you're not thinking about anything else other than your counts. When you're ready, we're going to do that again. Legs up into tabletop. Back completely flat against the mat because your abs are switched on. Ribcage in. Hold, hold, hold. Notice where you're feeling that. Have a poke around. Make sure you've got that tension in your full abs and your full core. It should be hard. How hard is it? Is it harder in some parts than others? Get to know what it feels like, and that'll build my muscle connection strength. Another few seconds. If you can't bring your legs completely straight, you can have a bend in them and come in and out of a straight until you build that hip flexor strength. Okay, let's go into those hip kicks if you can. Coming down with a curve in your lower back. Slowly. I'll go in for 12 if you can, or as many as you can. Stop and start as much as you need to. 5, 4, 3, 2 more. 1 more. Good, well done. Inhale, arms rise. Slowly exhaling, one more. Pilates single leg stretch next. So we've got a bend in the knee. It's nice for a glute stretch. And if you can, you're going to bring your knee to your nose. And as you're swapping over, you're coming all the way down again and then up. And as you're swapping legs over, you're loading that lower core. And if you're crunching up to touch your knee with your nose, you're working the upper core. As many as you can, or 20. The slower you do it, the harder it's going to be, the more you're going to load your core. Good. 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, then breath work, 4, 3, 2 more, 1 more. Good. Inhale, arms rise. So you might have felt that on your neck as well if you were getting up to your knee with your nose, which is strengthening the neck muscles as well. As always, if you've got any feedback or anything you want to speak to me about after class, I'm always here for that. 1 more. Next, both legs are extended. Same idea, pulling your knee to your nose and you're working your biceps as well. You'll feel that as you're swapping over. But because you've extended the legs, it's more loading the lower core. So you're building more strength and muscle if you get your protein. As many as you can, or 15. Again, it's as you're swapping legs, it's loading that lower core. Keep trying to keep that tailbone tucked in and under. Try and connect to that. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Inhale, arms rise. Good. Let's do a stretch for the piriformis. So your foot comes across the leg and you're going to push down gently just above the knee, and you'll feel the stretch either deep in the hip or on the sides of the glute, your bum cheek. So I'm going to hold that there and try and sink and let go of the tension around the hip. Takes a few seconds for your brain to speak to the muscle and back again. So just wait and be patient. Try and relax into the stretch. It's a weird, uncomfortable one. Notice where you're feeling this as well. If you want to increase it, you can push down a little bit further on that leg. Notice where you're feeling it now. Let's swap over to the other side and compare. Good, deep breaths. Increase that stretch if that feels okay. Just a mild discomfort we're looking for. going to bring both feet back into semi-supine, feet together, and gently bringing your knees to the side of your mat. I'm just going to hold that position with a neutral spine, your neutral spine. Everybody's is slightly different, but you'll have a lower curve in your back. And just sitting with that. And notice that groin stretch, that discomfort. You can put blocks underneath either side of your legs as well. If you're doing this at home, or you feel free to bring some blocks. I will buy some at some point, I keep forgetting. So deep breaths. Let's extend the arms and the legs out. Big stretch. And pushing the arms and legs away from the center, which is your core. I'm going to bring our knees in, over to the left. So first of all, before we do that, we'll shift the hips over to the right and then our knees over to the left, so they're more stacked. So have a look down. What we do want to see is your hips and knees and ankles stacked on top of each other, and both of your shoulders should be on the mat. If that feels okay, you can go ahead and increase the stretch, go in the opposite direction of your knees. But just make sure, most important is that your both shoulder blades are on the floor. And if you want to increase the stretch and that feels okay, you can extend that top leg and grab hold of the back of the leg. Just relax the arm. Allow yourself to sink in and feel that stretch. Might be in your glutes, in that top bum cheek. Might be around your hips, your lower back, your ribs even. Just switch your shoulders off. They can tense up, and so can your glutes. Just try and relax every muscle. Go through your body and survey any muscles that are tensed up. Just relax them actively, switch them off. Deep breaths will help with this. So on the inhale, relaxing your abs like a big Buddha belly, like relaxing your belly completely on the inhale. And on the exhale, drawing in your abs. So when you do that, on the inhale, you come out of the stretch a little bit, and on the exhale, you're able to move in further. Carefully coming out of that side, take your time. Each side's treated differently. So what you could do on one side, you might not be able to on this side. Shifting your hips over to the left, knees over to the right. Stack them on top of each other. Make sure your shoulder blades are on the floor, and look the opposite way if you can. Tonight, your body might not want to do this, or any of these next stretches, so feel free to skip or replace them with your own favourites. So no pressure. So inhaling and exhaling. So on the inhale, relaxing and pushing out the abs. And if that feels okay, extend that leg on the top and hold on to the back of your leg with your arm and relax your arm. The next inhale and cross over, and carefully make your way up to the seated position. as I work on some relaxation breath work before bed. So we're going to come into a seated position, any seated position that you find comfortable. So we're going to practice pranayama breath work, but if you don't want to do this, you can feel free to either just sit with your breath and draw your awareness to it, or you can practice a Pilates breath work, which is inhale through the nose, pause, breath retention, and then slowly exhale through the mouth. So pranayama can make you feel quite emotional, as well as your body starts to, if you've been in fight and flight most of the day, and then you're coming out of it, it can be a bit of a rush of emotion. So some people like to skip it, So we're just going to bring our awareness to the breath. So feel free to close your eyes as we begin the pranayama. It feels like a little mini micro nap when you wake up, when you open your eyes again. So we're going to do alternate nostril breathing, which is one of my favourites. It relaxes both sides, the left and the right side of the brain, which is really good just before bed. But first, I just want to make sure we understand yogic breathing. So it starts from the belly. So on the inhale, we're pushing our abs out and relaxing. So on the inhale, so relaxing the abs, and just relaxing completely on the inhale to get that oxygen in. But you want to make sure that you're using the diaphragm, the chest is rising to get the oxygen in, because when we're super stressed, we tend to belly breathe, especially females, and it can send us even more into a fight and flight and stressful state. So making sure you're using the diaphragm and the chest to bring in that oxygen. On the exhale, you bring in your diaphragm down and emptying your lungs and your belly full of oxygen. So it's like 3 stages. 1, 2, so your belly, your chest, your ribs, and then your chest, and then your chest, your ribs, your belly. So you're coming up and down. Like so. So I just want you to remember that. So we're going to grab our right hand if you want to practice alternate nostril breathing. So we'll be closing over the right nostril to completely breathe out of the left. And then we'll inhale through the left, practicing that yogic breathing for 4. And then you're going to close that over, that left nostril, and exhale through the right completely. Inhale through the right for 4, any count. Close it over and exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close it over, exhale through the right. I want you to continue to do this. Full breaths. Sitting tall. I'm going to watch the time, so I just want you to zone out and just think about how that breath feels through each nostril, in your lungs, in your mouth, in your nose. See if you can count to 5 in and 5 out. And every time you think about something else outside of this room or away from your body, just bring your attention back to your breath. The only thing that keeps you present, really, is the breath and your body and how it feels. So it's a practice. Namaste. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.